Hey fellow Vault Dwellers, it's time for the patch. Fallout 76 Camp Revamp Release Note, September 2nd. Huge patch outside of Camp, combat release notes most likely in there too. Bring out your tools because it's time to rebuild the Heartland. Build the home of your dreams with relaxed build rules in adventure mode and a rework workshop UI for easier building. If you want a quick version what's coming with this patch, you can check my recent videos. I published that about a week ago, summarizing what's happening. Today's update is a huge one for the builders. A rework workshop UI makes finding the items you want to build faster. I can confirm that. While relaxed build rules in adventure mode gives everyone more freedom to create the camp of their dreams. We are also nearing the end of combat rebalancing project that kicked off last year with a significant increase to melee weapon damage, boost to damage over time effects, improving the feel of manual aiming, and some changes to VATS that make the experience more reliable. I would not say that. And I'm a little bit worried about nearing the end. I was thinking that's the last one. Is there something else coming in regards to combat rebalancing? I don't know. There's a lot to dig into, so go ahead and get started. Update highlights: relaxed build rules. Unleash your creativity with relaxed building rules, allowing you to build new styles of camps. Rework workshop UI. The workshop UI has been revamped to make it easier for you to get to the camp items you are looking for. Item locking. Never accidentally scrap your gear again with this highly requested feature. This one is a huge one. And it is highly requested. I was requesting that several times. Combat improvements to manual aiming, which are really good. I already tested that. And VATS, which are not so welcome. That's a nerf. Plus a bunch of damage and range increases. Range rework more like than... Okay. Season 22 Modern Living. A modern dweller needs a modern home. Update size, not so big. As always, Steam is the king for smallest size, 10 gigabytes, other platforms 25. Relaxed build rules. For those of you who like to build camps in Fallout Worlds, you already know the benefits that relaxed build rules provide. Let's go over some of the more common situations where you will experience these relaxed build rules and talk about how they change what you will be able to do. Snapping items. Items can still snap together in the way that they used to, but now items that used to require snapping are allowed to not snap. Over-snapping your walls to get wallpaper on both sides is also possible now. Walls can also be built beneath the floor, and upper floors can be attached to walls without the need for a staircase. Placement mode toggles. There are placement modes that are available to help you place items in your camp. Snap mode, aka normal. Place items the way you are used to. Collision mode. Items will not auto-snap, but will consider collisions. Free mode. No snapping and no collisions. Placement restrictions. While there are still some items that require ground placement, example crops, extractors, items that require water to be placed, placement restrictions have been loosened for others, allowing you to place them freely. Yes, this means in the air too. Floating stuff is normal now. Foundations. Items that used to require a foundation to be placed no longer have that requirement. Also, while removing an item, you no longer have to worry about part of your structure being inaccessible. Power cables can now be built even if the cable intersects with another object. Blueprints. No changes here in relation to the new build rules. You can build blueprints with intersecting, floating, or unsupported objects in it. Workshop 2.0. Coming along in this update is a complete rework of the workshop menu, with a refreshed focus on findability and organization. This new UI should make it a lot easier for you to get to the items you need. We've been testing this internally and are excited for you to get your hands on it. New main and subcategories. One of the first things you will notice, other than the new UI, is the consolidated main categories and new subcategories which will host all your workshop items. We believe that this new categorization will allow you to get to what you are looking for a lot quicker than before. The categories are quests. Objectives. This category only appears when a quest is active and will disappear after the quest is completed. Recent. Quickly find your last used items. History, which is new, recent, blueprinted and stored. Camp pieces, foundations, porches, floors, walls, roofs, stairs, doors, columns, fences, shelters. Defense, barricades, turrets, traps. Power, generators and connectors. Lights, candles, sailing lights, fire lamps, signs, wall lights. Resources, crafting, collectors, food producers, water. Producers, it's awesome category. You no longer need to search everywhere if you just care about placing resource collectors in your camp. Utility, instruments, player benefits, services, vending machines. Player benefits, another important one. All items that give some bonus after you use them. One category for all of them. Furniture, appliances, beds, electronics, seating, shelves, surfaces, decorations, balloons, clutter, crockery, entertainment, fauna, holiday, law and garden, novelties, outdoor, rugs, signs, statues, taxidermy, toys, vehicles. Wall decor, ascent, sailing, holiday, mounted, novelties, signs, tapestry, wall art, wall letters, window. Storage, additional storage, display, stash boxes. Structure, farm, frontier, industrial, military, modern, rustic, scavenger. Dwellers, formerly allies, pets, pet, furniture. Modifier menu. The modifier menu is your main tool for customizing your camp. This feature has received a major facelift, now giving you more direct access to crucial editing features. Edit mode. Pick up and move items. Scrap or store things you already built wallpapers. Add wallpaper to give your camp a fresh style. Remove wallpaper if you want to go back to basics. Lock. Doors, generators, resource collectors. This helps prevent other players from taking your things. Blueprints. Save your creations. Place them again later, even if you move your camp. Replace. Swap out place items without needing to scrap and rebuild. Miscellaneous notes. We wanted to list out some neat features that we think builders will appreciate that don't necessarily require a whole section to themselves. Build modify mode. On keyboards you can change modes by pressing Q. On a controller you can click the left stick. New navigation option. Use Shift WSAD to move around menus faster. On controller the left and right bumpers allow you to quickly navigate the categories. You can filter by buildable, unlockable, and known items. Social menu is blocked while in workshop menus, giving you more space to work with. Quest markers and team lists are also hidden while building. The menu will remember which mode you were in when you re-enter it. In the Options menu, you can minimize or maximize the Variants panel, as well as expand the info card. Caravans. We are restructuring the objectives in Caravans to ensure players will get the rewards if the Brahmin is left alive, even if they are unable to complete the route. The event will now take a maximum of 7 minutes to complete. Caravans will now reward all players with the same number of supplies regardless of who started the event. So no more failed caravans, as long as you protect the Brahmin, of course. Item locking. Say no to accidental scrapping because you can now protect your favorite items by locking them. Lock your weapons, lock your armor, lock your power armor. Heck, you can even lock your meds too. This new feature will prevent lock items from being sold, scrapped, traded, and even dropped. Item locking has been a long requested quality of life request from many in the community. We are really excited about bringing this feature to you. Add or remove a lock anywhere you can interact with items including Pip-Boy, Stash, including looking at your stash through the My Camp device, Workbench, Ammo Box, player-to-player trading, NPC vendors, vending machines, allies, display cases, corpses, and loot bags. A few notes. Locking an item will not prevent loss of junk on death or prevent items from being used as a material for crafting, cooking, etc. Also, by default, locking consumables will prevent their use. You may adjust this in your settings. Accessibility. We've made strong strides towards making sure Fallout 76 is more accessible to more players. If you would like to look at all the accessibility features offered in the time of this update, you can find them listed out here. Mischief Night returns. Mischief Night returns on October 7th. Prepare to head over to Rapidian Camp in Skyline Valley to enjoy this refreshed take on a fun and chaotic event. Pink and emote swap. Thanks to community feedback, we've decided to flip the press currently set to pink in the live game and press and hold currently set to bring up the emote wheel in the live game command for pink and emote. With this update, when playing with a controller, pink can be activated by pressing and holding the down D-pad button. Emote is now set to press on the down D-pad button. Season 22, we already checked all the rewards in previous video. Combat balancing, so that's bigger part for me than the camp itself, as I love combat. In the Gone Fusion release notes, we shared an update on how we felt the combat rebalancing project we kicked off during Skyline Valley was going. We mentioned that we've seen a significant improvement in the variety of ranged weapons being used, fewer difficulty spikes in the early to mid-game experience, and increased build diversity amongst the player base. Which actually is true, I agree. Today's update continues this process with a focus on improving the manual aiming experience, improvements to the VATS firmware, which is nerf, providing significant buffs to melee and range weapon damage, true for most, boost to damage over time effects, increases to weapon ranges, not really true. There's a lot to dig into. If you are interested, head over to Fallout 76 Camp Revamp Combat Release Notes article for all the nitty-gritty details. We'll check that. We're going to keep things high level here. Manual aim improvements. We've made changes to all ranged weapons to improve players' ability to hit targets outside of VATS. These changes vary by weapon and include smaller cone of fire, reduced recoil, additional shots can be fired before reaching peak recoil. Cone of fire now increases less as a result of moving. Reduce cone of fire while crouching, sneaking. Reduce cone of fire while aiming down sights. Spin-up weapons such as the minigun and Gatling laser now have reduced recoil after firing for a short period of time. Reduce camera movement for many weapons, actions in first-person view. This includes firing, reloading, and post-fire actions such as bolt action animations. Medium and long scopes have additional zoom levels. Press the VATS button to toggle between 2 or 3 zoom levels, depending on the scope. VATS. The formula for calculating hit chances in VATS has been rewritten to be more consistent and intuitive. Overall, hit chances with most weapons will be higher. Distant, smaller, and more difficult enemies will sometimes be harder to hit. Here a basic overview of how it works. The formula begins with an assumption of max hit chance 95%. Various factors reduce your hit chance, such as distance to the target, visibility to the target, difficulty of hitting each of the target's body parts, your weapon's range, cone of fire, recoil fire rate, etc. Perks, weapon mods, etc. can improve each of these factors or directly increase your hit chance. Perception reduces some of the penalties of a large cone of fire and long distance to the target relative to your weapon's maximum range. Beyond about half of weapon's range, hit chance steadily decreases to 0. Below about half of a weapon's range, penalties to hit chance are reduced. As you close in on point-blank range, hit chance will increase until you have a very high chance of hitting the target. It's not really expressing what they actually did in regards to VATS, but I covered that extensively in one of the videos if you are interested, diving deep into changes to VATS, so you can check that out. I don't like what they put in those paragraphs doesn't really describe what they did. Weapon mods. The vast majority of melee and range weapon mods have been updated to have more consistent and intuitive effects, and to offer additional choices for a variety of playstyles. There are far too many changes to list, well over 1000 mods updated. So instead, here's some highlights for common mods. Stab barrels now make a weapon easier to use while moving at short range. Medium and long. While the longer range for medium and long barrels make it easier to hit targets both in manual aim and VATS and preserve more of your damage while firing at distant targets, they are now a bit more difficult to use on the go. Weapon scopes and sights. Glow sights now increase VATS accuracy and reduce weapons AP cost by 20%. The reflex sight no longer does, so that's a problem for some weapons. Front sight rings now make a weapon more precise while aiming and reduce the weapon's maximum cone of fire. Muzzle mods. Compensators now reduce a weapon's initial recoil and greatly increase the amount of shots that can be fired before reaching maximum recoil. Muzzle brakes reduce a weapon's minimum and maximum recoil and reduce the amount of lateral movement from recoil. Along with reducing the volume of each shot and slightly reducing recoil, suppressors now grant a 50% bonus to sneak attack damage. Bleed, fire and poison mods. Changes have been made to fire and poison mods to offer better damage over time. We've also made changes to some of these mods to convert more of their original damage to fire or poison. Mods that add blades to weapons now more consistently have a bleed physical damage over time effect. The damage from this effect has been greatly increased. Receiver mods. Mods which change the ammo type of a weapon have been modified to better reflect the increase or decrease in ammo strength. Stronger ammo will typically have higher AP cost, lower durability, and be harder to control in manual aim. Weaker ammo will typically have lower AP cost and be easier to control and maintain. Now, the choice of which ammo to use on a weapon is more about whether you want a more comfortable, lower maintenance experience with a weaker ammo type, or instead push the weapon further with stronger ammo at the cost of increased difficulty of use and more expensive maintenance. Similar to ammo type conversion mods, which use a stronger ammo type, hardened receivers now have additional recoil and higher AP cost. Critical receivers now also increase a weapon's AP cost. Stocks and bayonets. Pair with the damage increase on the weapon themselves, switching from a grip to a stock or adding a bayonet or both will greatly improve bash damage. Prime receivers. Prime receivers went through a lot of changes during the public test server. We wanted to outline where we landed for these mods. Prime receivers provide the following in addition to their increased damage to scorch enemies: 35% bonus damage overall, 20% longer range, 15% higher AP cost, 30% more weight, plus 52 value, higher recoil and maximum cone of fire, 10% slower rate of fire. Semi-automatic and automatic weapon mods. In addition to the area-based damage, sneak damage, and VATS critical attack damage changes from the Gone Fusion update, automatic mods for semi-automatic weapons also have the following changes relative to the unmodded weapon: 50% higher ammo capacity, 17% reduced range, 7% increased weight, 7% reduced durability, 30% increased value, 10% reduction to reload speed, higher maximum recoil and cone of fire. Adjustment to hardened receivers. This does not apply to hardened receivers and similar mods on weapons which are automatic by default, like 50 cal for example. Bonus damage goes up to 35%, recoil up to 15%, AP cost up 15%, weight up to 30%, durability reduced by 12%, value increased by 40%. Plasma gun, Enclave plasma gun, and Gatling plasma splitter mod changes. A variety of those. Not super important, so I will maybe stop only and read all when that's important. There is a lot. Laser gun and ultrasight laser gun splitter mod changes. Similar situation. Mainly more damage, but what they do not say, much lower accuracy. Sniper mode changes, fire rate greatly reduced, base damage increased, AP cost increased. Plasma gun, Enclave plasma gun sniper mode changes, similar, but now it's increasing base damage and additive damage bonus was removed. In practice, it still performs great. Perk changes, so that's a bunch. I covered them all in a separate video if you want to see them, but let's read here. In this update, we are finishing up our rebalancing of weapon perks, which include the heavy melee, thrown, and bow weapons at a high level than perk changes touch. Heavy gunner perks are being replaced with perks that focus on spending ammo to gain bonuses, along with a highly requested perk to decrease the spin-up time on weapons. Melee perks are moving away from one-hand and two-hand designations, and instead these perks will lean into more general properties of melee weapons, such as bleed and power attacks. Bow perks will be benefiting thrown melee as well as the bow weapons with new ways to take down groups of enemies. We are also standardizing perks and mods that grant the ability to automatically revive. Perks with these effects now bypass going into the down state, have a 100% chance to occur, have a cooldown, and require the use of a healing item such as a Stimpak. In addition, all effects that apply buffs to other players you revive will apply to yourself when self-reviving. The order in which these effects can occur is fixed. Scouts Banner first, EMT perk second, Life Saving more third, Power Armor Reboot last. You can have nat or 4, but 3, because Life Saving cannot be applied on Power Armor, so you can have 3 of those. Perk card changes. Slugger, melee damage versus crippled. Slugger Expert, melee weapons deal 50% more limb damage. No power tools, so no auto-axe. Slugger Master, melee weapons deal 25% more power attack damage. No power tools. Gladiator, damage against bleeding enemies. Gladiator Expert, and they have new names too, but I'm reading old names as that's what you remember. While equipping a melee weapon, reduce incoming stagger by 25%. Gladiator Master, your bleed effects have 35% more damage and 25% less duration. Iron Fist, your fist weapons deal more damage based on your damage resist, capping at 100% damage at 1000 damage resist. Heavy Gunner, 9% damage per stack of Bulletstorm, and Bulletstorm is a whole new system, so when you fire, you keep getting stacks from fire. That's long to cover. It's in separate video, but long story short, whenever you fire 30 bullets, you have 1 stack. Heavy Gunner Expert, weapons spin up 60% faster, so delay before you can fire, let's say, Gatling Plasma is greatly reduced. Heavy Gunner Master, your Bulletstorm stack limit is doubled to 20 stacks. Lock and Load, you keep half of your Bulletstorm stacks when you reload. Each stack increases reload speed by 1%. Bare Arms, each stack of Bulletstorm increase your bash damage by 5%. Pain Train now counts as fist weapon, so as an armed attack. Improve hit detection. Increased base damage and damage per rank. Uses 5 AP per hit. Bow Before Me, 40% armor and 10% stagger with bows or thrown melee. Archer, arrows and thrown melee weapons bounce towards 3 additional targets, dealing 70% of its initial damage. The damage is reduced 30% each bounce. Bounce range is based on the weapon's range, which is a huge bounce range. Archer Expert, deal 10% damage for each impairment your target has. Impairments are crippled, bleeding, burning, poisoned, and so on. Archer Master, arrow and thrown melee weapons pierce targets. Tank Killer, your range weapons ignore 40% armor, period, so it's for heavy guns too now. Fire in the Hole, thrown weapons fly 50% further. Throwing Arc is default now. In settings, you can switch it on. Homebody, improve benefits of being well rested. Stabilized. Big guns gain 30% accuracy, double in power armor. No longer any armor piercing, that's moved. EMT. Automatically revive a down teammate once every 3 minutes and grant them increased healing for 1 minute. Both players need to be in the same area relatively close. Injector. Players you revive have 18 action points regen for 1 minute. Revenant. Players you revive have 25% damage for 2 minutes. Healing Hands. Players you revive are fully healed. Rat Sponge. Absorb 20% of rats taken and restore hunger and thirst with them. Ninja. 100% sneak attack damage with melee and bows. Psychopath. Hits outside VATS refill your critical meter at 10% contribution. Grim Reaper Sprint. Kills in VATS restore your AP based on your luck. Bloody Mess. Bleeding enemies you kill have a chance to explode based on your luck. The damage is quite good, but we still miss the old Bloody Mess. Power Armor Reboot. Automatically revive using a stim pack while in Power Armor. Cooldown 2 minutes. Hack and Slash. Melee attacks deal 60% of their damage in a small area. And it's a really small area. Concentrated Fire. Adjusted the Concentrated Fire perk to increase VATS hit chance for non-automatic weapons by 4, 8 and 12% per shot. Automatic is still 1, 2 and 3%. Legendary mods. Life Saving. Chance to auto-revive increased from 50 to 100% and added a 5-minute cooldown that is reduced by 1 minute per additional piece. Lucky. Renamed to Lucky Hit. Rejuvenators. That's a whole nerf. Basically works as overeaters now. The same power, but you need to be fully fed and hydrated. Choo-choos. This effect has been overhauled to use the Pain Train perk. Each item equipped with this mod grants 1 rank to Pain Train. This can go beyond the max rank of 3 and works even if you do not have the perk equipped. It also adds an on-hit bleeding effect to Pain Train that scales with more Choo-choo mods equipped. Improvements and fixes. Armor. Fix an issue where the power armor HUD UI did not display while underwater. Fix an issue where players could no longer craft or modify the Civil Engineer Armor Jetpack. The Gladiator helmet now uses the correct crafting materials. Fix several issues with armor names displaying incorrectly when modified. Books and magazines. Tesla Science 4 now affects Ultrasight Gatling laser ammo count. A bunch of camp fixes. If you want to read them, I will slowly scroll down. There is a bunch. Feel free to read them. Consumables. Steep Ashrow stay duration increased to 1 hour. Creatures. Fix an issue where stunned Yaoguai were not immune to radiation damage. Fix an issue where alien invaders may not fire their weapons under certain conditions. Fix an issue where the Lost would not attack with batons. Spooky Scourge now keep their pirate hats on when dismembered. Events. Fix an issue where the public event Jailbreak was not awarding improved bait. Powering up power plant events will no longer count towards public event challenges. No issue, we are aware that Jailbreak is not currently counting towards this challenge. Fishing. Inspecting a fish now shows how many of it you have caught. Unfortunate death note, this stat is not retroactive and will only count fish from this patch forward. So start increasing your fish count. Fix an issue that could cause the fishing rod to become invisible after catching a fish. Fix an issue where players could enter VATS while fishing. Fix an issue that could cause highlighting of the whole fishing rod in the modify menu when changing skins. Gameplay. Floating damage numbers now have a random offset. So that was nice flowing now. Damage over time effects now display floating damage numbers. Reduce the size of the visual radius of the explosions for the Hack and Slash legendary perk effect. Bloodworms now increases explosion damage correctly. Fix an issue where the covered operative bonuses would not trigger as expected. I have no clue what Bloodworms has to do with explosion damage. That's why I didn't comment. Let me know if you know. Many help entries are now sorted alphabetically in all languages. Help menu entry for impairments added. Fix an issue where players could scroll through certain pop-up menus while in the inspect repair screens. Miscellaneous fixes. And I don't think any of those are super important. I will not be reading them all, but you feel free to do so. A bunch of outfit-related fixes. Quest fixes. 2 quest fixes. Vendors. Oh, Steven's supposed to have correct magazine for sale, no? An arm tag renamed to fist, that's weapon changes. Fist weapons now include either the blunt or sharp tags. Automatic melee has been renamed power tool. Clarify the curse description. Fix an issue where the 10mm pistol tweaked automatic receiver was using incorrect firing sound. Fix an issue with the tomahawk sound volume being inconsistent with other throwing weapons. Fix an issue where weapons and armor could be repaired while at 100% condition. Fix several issues with weapons names displaying incorrectly when modified. Fix an issue where the free-state skin for combat knife was not listed in the modify appearance menu. Workbench. Workbench categories have been renamed for better sorting. Remove bows from the machine guns category and group with thrown weapons are under a new category named Range Survival. Melee has 2 new categories, Fist and Power Tools. Rename the melee category for Edge Weapons and Sharp Weapons. Remove the Ultra Sight category. Tinker's Workbench ammo crafting categories are now sorted together. And fix an issue where an empty column could appear when in the current mode screen at the workbench. And there is as well this link to all the details with changes expanded. Let's scroll there. And those are combat release notes in full. So if you want to see all the details, like more advanced details outside of the same what we read, like it's repeated here, the summary of the changes, then you have more detailed changes like explosion forces, explosion sizes, adjustments, all those detailed stuff, weapon-based damage, a full list. We did discuss that during testing when the PTS was ongoing, so we can see those are the same list, just with the final changes. So you cannot see evolution of any of those numbers like we were able to during the public test server phase. You now see everything in its final form if in this very long patch note. Of course, I will not be reading every single value change for every weapon, as I would probably be reading that until tomorrow or maybe even longer. Like, look how many values you can find in here. All of that has been updated. If you want to check any particular weapon, I will put a link to both patch notes in the pinned comment. You can head in there. For now, thank you a lot for watching, and see you all soon when the patch will be live.